Welcome to Fight IQ with Vaughn. I am here with Redwolf MMA. We are finally getting back together this week to break down UFC 315. Belal, remember the name, Muhammad versus Jack Della Maddalena.
Fight not two. He is dead.
How's it been going, brother? I hear that you did some cameos with Mac Malley and Dre. Dre
Oh,
Easy.
that was fun, man. Yeah, did a podcast episode with Mac, Dre, Steezy. That was brilliant. We started talking about fights, and then we just ended up talking about everything. I was teaching them what take the piss means. They were telling me about baseball and stuff like that. It was an amalgamation of cultures coming together. It was brilliant, man.
I bet that podcast was just a match made in heaven, man. And I love
Oh
both them folks. Shout out to Mac Malley. Shout out to Andre Easy. Both homies for sure. Homies, man.
yeah. And shout out to Steezy. Hopefully we're gonna do that again sometime because that
Shout
was
out
fun.
to Steezy. Hell yeah. He's such a unsung hero in that whole Steezy
Oh
and
yeah,
Easy
yeah.
podcast. You know, he doesn't make as much noise as Dre does, but you
But when he
know,
does, he has people in stitches. He just comes out with the quick wit, jokes and
fucking
everywhere.
awesome. Shout out to the Steezy and Dreezy show. If you guys check that out, subscribe to them. They're fucking awesome. But in front of us, and the purpose that we are here today is to talk about the main card for the UFC 315 fight in Montreal, Canada this Saturday. UFC going back to Canada. Little scandal with the seats. Whole
Mm.
bunch of empty seats. I wonder what that's about. You know, when this happened before in the stateside, people are always saying, "Oh, you don't know what you're talking about." There's all kinds of companies that buy out all those seats, and then third-party vendors are selling them out. So in reality, they're all sold out. They're just holding on to them, and they can manipulate the price. I'm like, okay, whatever. But sure as shit, when fight night comes, those seats are full.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I fully expect Montreal to get their shit together and go out there. Uncle Steve, man, that
Oh
brother
yeah,
blew $5,200 to fly him and his son out to
yeah.
Montreal, Airbnb, UFC tickets, tattoos, whining, dining. Shout
He's
out to
loving
Uncle
it, man.
Steve.
He deserves it. Big Steve. He deserves everything. I mean, like I say, 10 years since the UFC have last been in Montreal, at least. Do you know what I mean? So it's about time. I mean, the last time was like GSP when he was fighting. Oh damn, I can't remember who he was fighting, but GSP was headlining, and yeah,
Was it
so big.
Nick Diaz? I
No, I
can't know.
wasn't.
I don't want to
I
start.
don't
I don't
think
want to
it
say shit like that. Be a
was
fucking casual on air.
But yeah, shout
Dead
out
in the
to Big
closet.
Steve. He's loving it, man. And he deserves this. He deserves a nice UFC. So I hope this card brings it. And a lot of people have been saying it's not a great card, and the prices of the tickets are too much for a card like this. And I see what they're saying, but I think this should be a good card. I think it should be a banger. Do you know what I mean? We've got some great names on there already. You know what I
You
mean?
know what our motto is, right? These cards that are least hype are the ones that
Mm-hmm.
deliver the most. And I certainly see
Exactly.
opportunity for this card to deliver. But let's start talking about the first card on the first fight on the main card. Benoit Saint Denis taking on late replacement Canadian fighter Kyle Prepolec. Kyle Prepolec hasn't fought in almost a year. I think it was June 2024. And prior to that, he had something like three canceled fights.
Mm.
So this dude's activity level is in question, which of course brings in a cascade of other variables, right? His
Yeah.
cardio, ring rust, all kinds of stuff. But nevertheless, they got to fight to save Benoit Saint Denis, and um, also rumors that Saint Denis, his last camp, had no head coach and
Yeah.
was had his buddies and some fellow gym rats to act as training partners. And like, what the fuck are you thinking, bro? You're at the highest level of competitive combat sports,
Yeah,
and you
yeah,
think it's a good idea to be your own head coach. But he seems to have um, righted that wrong. He's got himself the same head coach that Nusardin Imamov has. Um,
Mhm.
what is it? Nicholas Ott, I believe his name
Yeah,
is. And
yeah,
so, I think he's going in with the right mindset. His face looked like he got beat the fuck up during training camp. So it looks like he's got some proper training partners instead of some buds.
yeah,
Um, Odds opening were minus 1,000 for Saint Denis to Prepolec 650. My implied odds minus 953 for Saint Denis and 953 for Prepolec. I think we both have the same criteria, right, for these fighters, late replacement fighters,
yeah,
maybe debut fighters to the
yeah,
UFC,
yeah.
long layoff. I mean, that's already three strikes against
He's
Prepolec for
ticking all
me.
the boxes. Prepolec, like you say, being out of a cage for nearly a year. Very late replacement. Um, is older than Standing E by 6 years. Do you know what I mean? So there's all these like everything that we say kind of turns us off it. He ticks every box. So and Standing E, put it this way, he needs a win. The original opponent, Joel Alvarez. I was really hyped for that fight because Alvarez is a beast as well, and
Yeah.
a lot of people are saying, "Oh, Standing E is going to take another L." Do you know what I mean? So I think this is going to be a good one, and I don't think those odds are bad. Do I think we could see an upset? It's MMA, of course we can, but I highly doubt it. I think Standing E, we see the old Standing E from a couple of years back before he fought Dustin Poirier. Do you know what I mean? And I think we're going to get a little bit of a highlight knockout to start the main card. To be honest, you
So
know
you
what I
think
mean?
he can get it done by KO?
I think so. I think so. If he's taking camp seriously now and he's got a genuinely good head coach, and like you say, if he's which he has now, I think he should have filled the holes in his game. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Should
Well,
have.
he can certainly get it done by KO. I see him getting it done by submission. Personally, for me, that's his like natural state of being, and I think Propolec's going to give him tons of opportunity to for
Mm.
submissions, for grappling exchanges, for Saint Denis to really feel in his element again. I'm glad that he's back in the octagon. I think I agree with you 100% that he definitely needs a win, especially after his last statement. But it shows some humility that he was even able to admit the fact that he rolled without a head coach, put himself out to a lot of criticism for that. Um, but yeah, we're all expecting him to get this, and not just to win by decision. We got him to win by a finish.
Oh, yeah. It's
I
by
see it
fifth.
in the first round. Even I wouldn't be surprised if it's done in the first round.
Yeah, yeah. We'll say a little bit later. I said maybe second, maybe middle of the second, but it definitely doesn't go to the judges. I think this is you know a statement. So there's a reason to put this as the opener. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think this is going to get all them Canadian boys and girls all hyped up and whet their appetite. You know what I mean? But don't get me
They're
wrong
not
though, the prelim.
already. Yeah, if they're not
Exactly, I was
already,
going to say.
they're putting back-to-back Canadians in the prelims leading up to the main card. So I questioned
That's
that
it.
decision earlier. Like, why is this, Saint Denis and Prepolec opening up the main card and not Mike Malott versus Raki or JJ versus Andrade? But
Yeah,
it makes sense, right? It sort of makes sense, right? The two are building
yeah,
it up. Andrade, JJ might go to a decision. Radke Malott might go to a decision, but we're certainly expecting fireworks with
oh yeah,
Denis Saint Denis. Um,
yeah. Plus, we've got Sandingy. He's a Frenchman, and Montreal speaks a lot of French, so it's the French side of Canada, isn't it? So I can see where
and,
the why the
and Prepolec's Canadian,
exactly, yeah.
so
So
it's a good fit. It's a good fit. Plus, he was on the main card initially anyway, so don't want to
yeah,
take that away from him.
makes sense.
Next up, we have Natalia Cristina da Silva versus Alexa Grasso, the former women's bantamweight, or was she the
Flyweight,
flyweight champion? Yeah, the
flyweight, yeah,
flyweight champion. Um, Natalia Silva opened up as a minus 218, or well, she's currently a minus 218 favorite versus Alexa Grasso's 180 dog odds. That's sort of blowing
Wow.
my mind a little bit.
Wow.
The
I
disrespect
am surprised.
on
Yeah.
Alexa Grasso's name, the former champ, to be down as a minus 180. That being said, my fight calculator, my white implied win probability calculator does have Natalia Silva as a minus 184 favorite. So right in line to what the odds makers have it. And I was trying to find like why.
Mm.
Where in the stats are they leaning more heavy to her? Maybe the win streak, her age, perhaps. But let me hear what your take is first.
To be honest, I am actually surprised because Grasso, former champion, um, went 25 minutes with Valentina twice, finished Valentina Shevchenko in the first fight. Before that she was on a tear. So I'm very surprised. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Natalia Silva. I really do. I think she's great. She's this little cute thing that could smash your face in. Do you know what I mean? That's my type of girl. I like those ones. But the only thing I'm thinking is it the striking output? Is it the, like you say, the win streak, the age difference? I mean, it's not even that massive an age difference. It's only 3 years. Do you know what I mean? So there's no massive discrepancies in height or reach. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe they think she's hungrier. Maybe they feel like maybe Grasso's on a way out, but I don't think she is. I think Grasso's still got some gas in the tank. Do you know what I mean? I mean, she got the last fight against Valentina. Yeah, Valentina dominated with the wrestling and this and the other. I don't think Silva is going to wrestle that much. I think she might because she might think that's Grasso's weakness. But I think this is going to be a striking affair. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know. I think Grasso is probably better on the feet. She's a Mexican. Do you know what I mean? She look what she did to Valentina in the first fight. So yeah, I'm probably going with Grasso on this one. I'm going to defy the odds. I'm going to go with the underdog on this. But this isn't
I'm
the only fighter that's got weird underdog odds.
Oh my Lord. And I think it's by design. The homies DJ MTK and Ray Ray and I talked about this Wednesday when we recorded it as to why these odds are like this for Valentina and for Alexa. And basically it comes down to getting action.
Yeah,
No one wants to put action on a 50-50 fight, right? People want,
yeah,
especially for the Valentina case, we'll get to that later, but they're making money on win or lose bets.
yeah,
And either way, they're profiting. So it's really to get us to put action because it is effective. I've looked at this fight, one night I'm like, yeah, Natalia's probably going to win. And then, the fight predictor uh, actually has Grasso winning by decision, even though the implied win probability has Natalia
mm,
as a pretty moderate favorite, giving her a 64.7% chance to win. The AI fight predictor is taking into account Alexa Grasso's um, one, experience, and
yeah,
two, Silva's lack of finishing ability.
yeah,
Um, the point is that De Silva is a point fighter, primarily a
yeah,
Taekwondo point fighter, and she's a BJJ blue belt compared to Grasso's BJJ brown belt. And when
yeah,
I saw the fight against Vivian Araujo, a mutual opponent of each, um, yeah, Silva has really good takedown defense, but she never really hurt Araujo. She
no,
outstruck her, she outpointed her, she won by decision, rightfully so, but she never really put Araujo in danger. When Alexa fought Araujo, she fucking rocked her. She had her on
oh,
skates,
badly.
So the point is Grasso's striking is much more dangerous
Hmm.
than the Silva's, and Grasso's grappling is also more dangerous than the Silva's. And the fact that Grasso had three fights with Valentina, three
Yeah,
championship fights with the former champion and now the current champion, made Alexa Grasso better. It also made Valentina better. It made
Oh yeah,
those two fighters better. And that experience, the fact that she has more tools, more sharpened tools, I should say, because they probably both have the same tools in the toolbox, but
yeah,
one's from Harbor Freight, the other one, is from Stanley. Like the quality of the tools, caliber of
yes,
the tools is probably better with Alexa Grasso. And so I'm going to lean also Alexa Grasso, the underdog here. Crazy to say the underdog, for a decision win as well.
yeah, yeah. I'm going decision. Like I say, I think Grasso. She stalks her down like she does. She does the Mexican boxing style that she's actually famous for. She shoots takedowns, she defends takedowns, she clinch work against the cage. I mean, Grasso could finish the fight. She could, but I don't know. I mean, I hate to say it, but with women fighters, I usually say it goes to decision. But you know what I mean? It's what usually happens. But yeah, 100% Alexa Grasso. You touched on it. You said it before. She's been in there with Valentina Shevchenko 3 times. You know what I mean? If you don't learn from that, then there's something wrong. Do you know what I mean? And like I say, I like Natalia Silva, really do. She's on a streak. But yeah, I just think Grasso's going to be too much for her at this point. You know what I mean?
Next up, we have the UFC Hall of Famer Jose Aldo versus the Canadian Ayman Zahabi and the
Ariel
legendary
Helwani.
TriStar Gym. Yeah, Harry Helwani making his UFC debut in hometown Canada. Why do they all look alike? Them fucking
I
Canadian
don't
boys.
know, man. I don't. I remember the first time I saw it as a hobby, I was like, "What the fuck? That's Helwan." I was honestly, I was perplexed by it. I was like, "What? This is insane." Do you know what I mean? And fair play to him, he's leaned into it as well. Him and Helwani have took the piss out of
Yeah.
it, and joked around. So fair play. I even posted a picture the other week about with Aldo and Helwani. So really looking forward to this fight. Do you know what I mean? So, and I actually am. I wasn't bullshitting. I genuinely am looking forward to this fight. I love Aldo, man. Like, he's a legend, Hall of Famer, featherweight GOAT, which is still being talked about to this day. Do you know what I mean? The WEC days. We show our ages when we talk about the WEC days. I've noticed that now. Do you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
Jose Aldo, man, I absolutely love him. But I really like Zahabi as well. Like this is a good fight. When I first heard it had been put together, I was a bit like, why is Aldo getting these prospects? Do you know what I mean? He's becoming like a bit of a bantamweight gatekeeper almost. But yeah, Zahabi, like you say, training out with TriStar. I've heard that GSP might be in his corner as well, and that would
Wow.
be amazing. You know what I mean, to see that. So, um, yeah, it's a great fight. It's a great fight. What are
Well,
you feeling then?
it's interesting because all the stars have been training at TriStar for this fight camp.
Yeah,
Belal,
yeah,
Valentina, um, Zahabi, they're all over at TriStar training, and there's sort of this feel right now, right? This momentum I feel that's going on. Yeah, when I first saw this and I first saw the line and it had Zahabi at plus 190, I immediately threw 1.1 units on it right away.
yeah,
Money line Zahabi. I
yeah,
just I don't understand how, some guy that's 38 years old. I mean, I understand he's a Hall of Famer. I understand he's a legend, but I also understand that he's 38. I also understand that he's coming off a split decision loss.
yeah,
I also understand that he previously retired and came back, and this is his second fight coming back from retirement
mm,
now. So, or third fight, I'm sorry, because he won his first fight, then lost his second fight by split decision
yeah,
when he came back.
yeah.
So,
He beat Martinez by decision, and that was a good.
yeah,
That felt a little bit like vintage Aldo in that fight.
yeah. But then what happened?
Yeah,
He
I
loses
know.
a split decision fight his next turnaround, and Zahabi, meanwhile, is cruising to a 5 fight win streak.
Wings. Yeah, yeah.
When I
I mean,
did the when I did the win probability calculator, I was surprised to see that it gave Zahabi a minus 121 favorite implied odds. a 54.7% chance of beating Aldo. Then I ran it through the fight sim and it says Ivan Zahabi is going to knock his ass out in round two. Now,
Oh,
I don't see Zahabi knocking Aldo out, but I honestly see this going to like a split decision.
mm,
I
yeah.
put like $5 on a split decision win Zahabi at plus 900.
Can you bet on split decision?
Yes, sir.
You like think split? No way.
Yeah, plus
We
900.
can't. We can't do that. It's either decision or finish. That's it. Do you know what I mean? Or draw.
Yeah.
We draws, but nobody ever picks draw.
When
No. I
yeah,
mean,
I'm
yeah.
trying to sneaky little play.
The only way I think if Zahabi was to finish Aldo, and that sounds, it sounds impossible, but nothing's impossible in MMA. It'd have to be probably by ground and pound. Do you know what I mean? It'd have to kind of like the way Max did, but Max
Mhm.
took him. Max was piecing him up, and it was when he jumped on top of him. But I feel like Zahabi's going to have to try and take this guy down. But we know Aldo is like an immovable object when it comes to taking him down. Like he's got the best takedown defense I think we've ever seen in the UFC. Do you know what I mean? Even Marab, who just picks people up and throws them around for fun, couldn't take Aldo down once. Do you know what I mean? It was unreal. Um, but I don't know. I find it so hard to root against Aldo. You know what I mean? I know that's the young kid in me who watched him when he was younger and stuff like that, but I don't know. I think with GSP training Zahabi as well, GSP for me is the greatest fighter of all time, and he sees things people don't. Do you know what I mean? So he's probably been watching a lot of Aldo tape and watched the last fight. Now look what happened with the last fight, even though it was split decision loss, right? Everybody hated, like I mean, hated Mario Batista for that. They wanted him to fight
I
Ngannou,
know.
right? Do you know what I mean? But
It was smart
looking at
though.
it, it's that's how he won because he knew what he needed to do. He didn't take him down. But he pressed him against
Mhm.
the
Controlled
cage.
him, negated his
Yeah,
striking range, negated those kicks, more importantly.
exactly. But this is MMA. You know what I mean? We can say it's
Mhm.
boring. We can say like, oh, blah blah. But it's MMA. It's part of the game. Um, and I think that's probably how Zahabi's going to have to do it. He's going to mix in the clinch work, the cage work, the in and out. But Aldo, like I say, I think Aldo's going to utilize those kicks. I think he's going to bring in his striking. Maybe he might even try and take him down as well. Which I don't know. I don't know, but you
I
never
don't know
know.
if he should go that route. Yeah.
I don't. But I don't think he should. So
The
yeah, this is a hard one for me because my heart is screaming pick Aldo, and then my head my head is picking Zahabi. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with my heart on this one, just to mix things up a little bit. I'm gonna say Aldo by decision. But yeah, we'll see how this
That's
one
not a
goes.
bad pick. I mean, that's
I
not a
know.
bad pick at all. I know that I am heavily invested in a Zahabi win.
Yeah,
So that
yeah.
could be bad for me. Because
Well,
typically the when I'm heavily invested in one fighter and either my parlays or money line bets or even some prop bets, those are the
mm,
ones that tend to not hit. So I'm probably
yeah.
not putting any more money on Zahabi.
Just leave it at that. Leave
Which
it at
I
that.
just,
Do you know what I
but
mean? I know you're going to be live betting after that first round. You're going, fucking.
oh yeah. Next up, we have the co-main event and the first title fight between Manon Fiorot and Valentina Shevchenko. Valentina Shevchenko is the current flyweight champion, and she opened up as a plus 136 underdog. Now, money has been coming in on her heavily, right? People have been picking up on this and have been throwing money on her. Her current odds are plus 114, so she's still at plus money right now. But I don't understand. The fight, the implied win probability calculator did have Valentina Shevchenko as a slight favorite at minus 109. There are some aspects of Menon's game that uh, do make her dangerous. And it's the fact that it's her volume. She throws
Yeah.
6 point. 2.6 significant strikes landed per minute. And she has good defense too, but her strike accuracy is shit at 41%. So that means she throws a lot. She's always active. I think that's going to present opportunities for Valentina Shevchenko, who is one of the premier grapplers in the flyweight division, and has got a body lock that's world class. Her
Oh yeah,
ability to lock you up and take you down in the center of the ring is extraordinary. And I, eh, the strikes absorbed per minute at 2 is extraordinary as well. This woman, her strike defense at 64%. I mean, so this is like two premier world-class kickboxers
yeah,
going at it, right? There's different styles of kickboxing, right? You have American kickboxing, you have Thai kickboxing, you have Dutch kickboxing. There's
hmm
there's various styles. Both these women's probably perfected all three styles.
yeah. I mean, I'd say
Although
Valentina is one of the best Muay Thai
practitioners in
kickboxers.
the world. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
Manon's been practicing kickboxing and karate since she was 6.
yeah, yeah.
So you got both kids. Like I remember when I worked for Bloody Canvas, I did a story, an article called, and started an article series called From Beginning to Belt, where
Mm,
we highlighted a UFC champion's story from the beginnings of their not even career, but just like their martial arts training to
yeah.
when they achieved that UFC gold status and won that first belt. And with Valentina, it's crazy because like her mom gave her
hmm
and her daughter up to the gym, and like these are yours to raise up,
Yeah,
and to train and make into fighters. And her mom was also a dedicated martial artist. But this is ingrained into both these girls' lives. It's not something that they decided to do when they were like 18 or 19 or 17 or 16 or started doing some taekwondo splits to get more flexible for cheerleading. These girls live, breathe, eat, shit, mixed
yeah,
martial arts.
yeah.
Um, that being said, I feel like Valentina is the champ. You got to respect the champ. She took that back from Grasso. Yeah, she got caught.
hmm
Grasso made a great move, caught that back, and slipped in that choke.
Yeah,
If you try
yeah,
that move 10 times against Valentina, you're probably sinking it twice.
yeah.
And that just
Oh,
happened to be
actually,
that one night. You know, the
yeah,
rematch was close. They called it a draw. I thought Valentina took it.
I
The
did
third
too.
fight was definitive.
Yeah.
Valentina dominated and took control. So I don't know what the fuck is going on with this line, but I'm taking Valentina by decision.
Well, 100%, man. 100%. Like we said, we said before about Alexa Grasso, and it's not the only. I remember seeing the Valentina odds, and I audibly said, "What the fuck?" Do you know what I mean? I was like, is there something I don't know going on here? You know what I mean? And it's like, don't get me wrong, I'm gonna butcher the name, but so I'm gonna call her Manon because the last name floors me. But Manon's good. Like you say, she's a great kickboxer. She's got that karate style. She's high volume, you know. But this is Valentina Shevchenko. Like you said, from birth she's been training. This is her life. This is her who she is. She's been in there with absolutely everyone and anyone. Her only real losses are, like you say, to Grasso and to Nunes, Amanda Nunes, who people consider the GOAT. People talk about the female GOATs. They say Nunes and Shevchenko. Wei Li Zhang is coming up in that as well.
Yes.
She's now talked about in that status. Um, but man, like it's Valentina. How will people like sleeping on this? I just feel like Valentina is going to be too experienced. She's going to, grapple. She's going to take Manon down. I actually feel like Val could probably get a submission win.
Yeah, I can see that
And
too.
she'll win maybe later on, maybe third roundish. But I feel like if this doesn't go to a decision, I feel like Val gets it done by submission. Um, or this could be a mass, just a full on stand up war, which would be absolutely amazing. Could you imagine? Do you know what I mean? Just for
That was
pure.
yeah. The pure violence, pure skill involved
Yeah,
in that kickboxing fight. It'd almost be watching like Stamp Fairtex or something like that,
yeah,
like fighting in
yeah,
one championship. It would be a delight just to even watch these two girls fight a
yeah,
kickboxing fight. But it is mixed martial arts. Valentina
yeah,
is
yeah,
a smart girl. She knows that she has to utilize all her weapons,
yeah,
and I think she
100%.
will. I think she will because she's not fueled by ego so
No,
much, to say that I'm gonna beat you at your own game kind of shit. She's
no,
really fueled by legacy right now. And
yeah,
I think it's win at all costs, defend your
yeah.
belt at all costs, and still.
Yeah, she's mastered the craft. She's a true. I just love her mentality. Like you say, did you see the custom shorts, the custom fight kit she's
Yeah,
got? She was
awesome.
explaining
The
why it's the
dragons.
dragon and the tiger, and she was the yin and the yang. I love that shit. I absolutely love all that shit. So that meant a lot to me. And full disclosure, Valentina Shevchenko is one of my best favorite female fighters of all time because of that mentality, because of that drive and that focus and that the balance and everything. Yeah, I love Shevchenko. So bullet and still.
And still, I think we both got and still, which leads
Yeah.
us to the main event of the night, the headliner, Belal
Who?
Muhammad versus Jack Della Maddalena. You got to
Good job.
remember the name.
You
You got to
remembered.
remember
I couldn't remember it. It was.
people, the disrespect on poor Belal is crazy.
I'm always.
His fight style isn't sexy. He's not putting people out, right? He's got a finish rate of 25%. So he's not putting people out, but he's fucking beating people and he's beating people decisively. He beat
Oh, yeah.
Leon Edwards decisively, right?
Don't remind.
I mean,
Don't remind
he,
me.
yeah, it was. I mean, there's talk about pound for pound,
Mhm.
best fighter out there. Maybe that might be a little premature, but maybe we need to start remembering the name Belal
Listen,
Muhammad.
I'll always crack the jokes, but this is going to surprise a lot of people. Bilal is a brilliant fighter. The way he did to Leon was great. Not great that I was seeing that happening to Leon, but I couldn't knock it. The skill, the picking him up, the control, this and the other. Yeah, in the middle round, third round, Leon had his back. Fifth round, he got beat up a little bit, but Bilal's output and wrestling is second to none. Do you know what I mean? I mean, you can't knock it. I'm going to crack the jokes. It's what I do. But yeah, Belal is definitely one of the best fighters in the world. Welterweight. Well, he's a champion. He's a champion for a reason. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, but I still can't remember the name. So
Who you got and how?
so listen, I like JDM. I think his boxing is great. It's not as clean as it's made out to be, but I don't think it needs to. It works. It's a bit like it's cleaner than DDP's, but it still seems like there's something missing. I don't know what it is. It feels like there's something missing. Um, Now I've been watching and looking back at the Gilbert Burns fight because that's probably the most recent wrestler that JDM faced. And he was losing up until that point when he brought the knee up. Do you know what I mean? There was no two ways about it. People call it a lucky shot, but I think it was a well timed shot. I think it worked very, very well. Now, could that happen with Belal? Absolutely. But do I think Belal is a way better wrestler than Gilbert Burns? 100%. Do you know what I mean? So I am going to surprise a lot of people, but probably not because I know my shit, biased aside. Bilal takes this by decision. And I think it's
I
going to be dog.
agree
I think it's going
100%.
to be performance.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
dog walk. It's gonna be a
Yeah.
dog walk. We're gonna see a lot of shots of Jack Della Maddalena's face, looking at the camera, looking disparaged, looking for a way out of a hopeless situation, watching the fight slip away from him like the sands of time from an hourglass.
You're going with a Dan Hardy kind of analogy there now, like the eyes of
Bilal,
Medusa.
yeah. Bilal has a way of just sucking the life out of you inside that octagon, and I think he's going to do it once more. Again, it's not going to be sexy, but it's going to be 100% effective. The Monte Carlo Sims has him winning 70% of the time, 56% by decision.
Yeah,
The Sim Predictor has him winning by decision, and I too am going to pick Bilal by decision,
yeah.
and still,
I would be very surprised this way, right? Because we crack jokes and we take the piss. Bilal's the decision merchant, but I don't know. I might not be surprised if he gets this by TKO. Do you know what I mean? I just maybe fourth round, fifth round, ground and pound TKO. But it's I don't know. I don't. And I will say one thing. I'm not saying that he's got Canelo hands because he certainly fucking hasn't. But his but his striking has got better. Do you know what I mean? It's got a lot
Yeah.
better than what it was. Do you know what I mean? I mean, he did hurt and touch Leon a few times. He was one of the best kickboxers, like not just in the welterweights, but like in the UFC. So to do that, but that's because of the threat of the takedowns. I think. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
yeah, I think the only way that JDM wins is by what happened with Gilbert Burns. You know, he catches him coming in with a knee or something. But yeah, Bilal's gonna drag him into deep waters and, like you say, suffocate him, like kind of like how Paddy did Chandler a little bit.
Um, what about the prelims? Is there a fight in the prelims that you really want to highlight?
I do, there is. So I need to give a big shout out because this is going to be a very, very, very fun fight. I think both guys are on a trajectory now. You know, they both won their last fight on the same card, and this fight feels like Thor versus Hulk, and that's what I've been calling it. So shout out to my boy Modestus Bukauskas. I always say his last name wrong, but I call him Moddy versus Cutelaba because that is going to be a war. Both of them are going to be at it. Both of them like are on a comeback streak. Do you know what I mean? Moddy more than Cutelaba, I feel. Do you know what I mean? Because he came back from that injury. He's proven that he's back in the UFC now. He's proving a point that he belongs here and that he's going for the rankings. So that's going to be one hell of a fight. I think that's going to be a scrap. And I
That's
don't
going to
think
be a
that
really good one.
decision that doesn't go to a decision. Someone's getting
Yeah,
finished.
that's what I think too with that one. You know, I've gone back and forth as to who I'm going to pick with that one, and I'm not, I mean, I'm leaning Cutelaba right now.
Mm,
With that, I could also see this being a split decision win. I could see Cutelaba using his superior wrestling to control because
mm.
he's not going to be able to outstrike Modestas.
Modestus. No,
You know,
no,
he can't
Modestus.
stand up. He can't stand up with him. So he's going to
No.
have to take him down and try to control him and ground and pound him.
But one thing I'll give you to think about on that one is Modestus has been training non-stop with Tom Aspinall and the boys up at Aspinall BJJ. So I think his
Okay.
takedown defense and grappling has
If
has
he can
grown.
neutralize that, it's over for Cutelaba.
That's what I'm
If
saying.
that's the truth, it's over for Cutelaba if he
That's
can't
what I'm
implement his ground game. As a matter of fact, I lied. I have Bukauskas.
saying.
Oh well,
Keep
I
on that.
have my win probability calculator has what the fuck's going on here? So my win probability calculator has Cutelaba. The
Hmm.
fight simulator has Cutelaba, but I
Hmm.
picked Bukauskas.
Good man.
I picked Bukauskas because I felt, again, like I was back and forth, but I felt that his wins were more definitive. His momentum is really up, right? Because Cutelaba could really be on a one fight win streak right now. There's one
Yeah,
fight that he won by split decision that he could have lost,
yeah, yeah,
you know, so I'm
yeah.
arguing that he did lose. Um,
Well, Muddy's finished
and
his last two.
we've seen Cutelaba get rocked before
Yeah.
by by several people. So yeah, I actually have Bukauskas here as my pick, even though this one I am going against the simulator.
Mm.
And I'm sure that I've picked Cutelaba probably last night, as I was doing initial analysis. But I think Bukauskas is the fresher, bigger,
Yeah.
more technically skilled fighter. And so yeah,
Yes.
I'm picking him.
I feel personally because I do speak to Muddy a lot, and he is hungry. He is there to prove a point. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like he's got a lot more to gain from than Cutelaba has, and I feel that that's going to be another factor. The mental fortitude, the
Mhm.
mental strength coming into this fight. So yeah, big shout out to Muddy. He's going to get it done
Shout out to
by
Mahdi
finish.
by
I'm not sure
knockout.
whether it's submission or knockout, but he's finished. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would see the path being knockout.
Yeah, more than likely.
The fight that I'm excited to see is Daniel Santos versus Young Young Lee. And we
Ooh,
haven't seen Santos in the octagon since 2023. It's been a long time.
yeah.
Um, but he's there for a good time for however long it lasts. He's that kind of guy that is totally down and totally game for whatever.
Yeah.
And so is Lee.
Oh,
Lee is
yeah, yeah.
one ornery ass South Korean, bro. Like he loves this. There's a group of South Koreans there that are fucking nutty. I don't know
Oh, yeah.
what Korean Zombie did, but he created a group of fighters out there that are fucking killers, bro.
Yeah,
Oh wait,
100%.
Hoku Choi. I fucked
Yeah.
that name up, I'm sure, but I know I got part of it right.
I know what you
Um,
mean. These guys
you know
know
what I
what you
mean?
mean. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, this fight I think is going to be very entertaining. It's a striker's delight. It's a fighter's delight, right? Because neither of these guys are boring grapplers. They're
No.
active. They're searching for the finish. They're searching for the knockout. Um, so I'm excited to see this. This has fight of the night potential written all over it. I'm going to take Lee simply because we haven't seen Daniel Santos in such a long time, and he's also a late replacement fight as well.
Mm.
I'm going to take the guy that probably had the full training camp and has been progressing. His last fight against Hyder Emil, he got knocked out in the first round by Emil. Hopefully he learned a lesson in that because Emil drew him into a brawl where they
Yeah.
were just fucking Max Hollowaying and just engaging it in the middle of the octagon, throwing down, just swinging wildly, and Emil caught Lee. Lee was rocked and he still kept going.
Yeah.
Emil
Yeah.
caught him again. He was rocked again and he still kept going. Emil had to hit him with like 4 or 5 like KO ending shots to finally buckle him, and the
Put
ref
him down.
stepped in.
Yeah.
I think Lee learns from that fight, says, look, if I had not engaged in that, I possibly could have beat Emil. Emil wasn't, I mean, he was on a huge win streak, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
he was getting pieced up. Before that exchange, he was the one getting rocked. He was the
Yeah.
one walking on skates. So if Lee just stayed using his range, stayed going in and out rather than just engage this crazy brawl, he would have
Mm.
won that fight. So I'm gonna pick young Lee versus Daniel Santos, but I'm gonna call this as a fight of the night candidate.
And that's nice and early in the prelims as well. So that's gonna whet a few appetites. Do you know what I mean? That's gonna get everybody hyped up. That's
Yep.
the second fight of the card as
Second
well.
fight. Second
You know
fight.
what I
Yeah, you
mean?
got the
So,
Canadian Brad Katona with the
yeah.
weight of the world on his shoulders, right? He's got to bring the first win home and hype up the Canadian crowd. Um, so we'll see if he can get it done. Shout out to Jasmine Jesse the Vicious fighting. Looking forward to see her get her third, fourth
Yeah.
win in a row. Um, Shout out to Mike Malott fighting Charles Racky. That's going to
Yeah.
be a fun fight. I think it's a defining fight. Malott needs to get it done. And Racky
Yeah.
is no easy customer. So that's got a potential
Radke,
fight of the night performance
funny,
too.
when I did that podcast with Mac Malley, we were talking about Radke. And he was saying he reminds him a lot of Gaethje. That
Mhm.
kind of
Yeah.
style. It was only until he said it I was like, he's right. He does remind me of Gaethje. So yeah, that's a real fun fight. Do you know what I mean?
And
And
that's a
like you
great
say,
matchup too for Malat because Malat is primarily a submission specialist. Although he's pretty diverse, he can do it both ways.
yeah, yeah,
But that's really what he likes to do, right? Grapple, control. Um,
yeah,
you see it expressed in his takedown average. But Charles Radtke has a 100% takedown defense.
yeah,
So he could
yeah.
keep this up on the feet if he wants and
That's
force
what,
Malat to strike. Malat, he's got that gas tank issue. We saw him fade against Magny, so we'll see what's up. But
yeah.
yeah, he's gonna open up. He's gonna be the headliner for the prelims. I think it's a sexy card, bro. I don't give a shit, but we
I
also
like it.
dive deep into this. We put some
Yeah,
money down on this. As
yeah.
always, everyone, good luck. Bet responsibly. Shout out to the homies. Red Wolf, I'm glad that we were able to get back into this shit.
Me too, man. Me too. I had a week off last week, but now we're back, and yeah,
We're
I'm
back. No, no
excited.
more weeks off.
I'll try, man. Yeah, it's not going to be no more weeks off for a long
Maybe
time.
next week. Maybe next week.
No, not next week. I like next week as well. I'm a
Shout
sadist. I
out,
love it, man.
everyone.
Take care,
Huh?
boys and girls.
Take care, everyone. Peace out. Shout out.